Welcome to Loving Life, a guide to a positive mindset. I'm recording this really late. I'm normally in bed by now, but this week has been one of those weeks where I seem to be running around doing so much, but feel like I'm getting nothing done. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just lots of things that need doing that seem like they don't achieve anything, but it's just things that need doing. Yeah, it's one of those weeks. So it's going to be a bit off the cuff. I know what I want to talk about. I've got absolutely nothing written down. So yeah, let's just see how it goes. So the thing I do want to talk about is dealing with overwhelm. And I know I've addressed overwhelm before. So this might be very slightly similar to the episodes I've done in the past on overwhelm. But I think the thing is, things I talk about seem to be relevant for what's going on with me at the moment, which might resonate with other people. So what was going on when I talked about overwhelm before might have been completely different to what's going on now. So we are obviously in the first week of December, and December can be one of those times where one minute you think it's the best month. It is so much fun. We've got so much to look forward to. It's festive, it's jolly, it's great. And then the next minute, you are feeling like you've got a million and one things to do, especially now, given that the majority of my listeners are female, so I do apologise if there's any men listening, but you might feel the same as well. But especially when we feel like most of the arrangements for Christmas fall on us. It's just the way it is. I probably don't help myself with that, but here we are. And I'm not currently feeling overwhelmed about Christmas. However, I know that I'm likely to at some point. So I am thinking in advance, because I know a lot of other people feel the overwhelm as well at some point in the month. There are so many reasons why we feel overwhelmed at this time of the year. There can be financial stress. We've got the stress and anxiety of time management. Like, I don't know about you, I have barely bought any Christmas presents. Also, you've got the time management of organising ourselves, spreading ourselves between family, making sure that we make all the Christmas social events that we've got to get to. Then you have the overwhelm of family dynamics. Knowing that you are going to be seeing people who may trigger you, who press your buttons, and you know it's going to happen, but you have to see them. You want to see them, but you know it's going to trigger you. You've got the overwhelm of wanting everything to be perfect. Like, we have this ideal vision of how we want Christmas to look and feel for our families, our children, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for that. Like, I have lovely memories of when I was a kid, and I want to recreate all of that for my children. I mean, mine are a little bit older now, so the days of the excitement and things like that have gone now, but that's another overwhelm in itself, really. Like, I want to have some lovely family time with the boys and with Craig, but it's finding things that suit us all as a family, that we all want to do, and having the time to fit it in. Then we've got the feelings of overwhelm that come with experiencing loss, loneliness. Like, if there is a loved one who is no longer with us, that can leave us feeling disconnected. It can leave us feeling overwhelmed because we don't want to feel disconnected, but we do. And for those who have blended families, or two parents who share Christmas with the children, you've got the stress that comes with organising how that's going to work out for everybody and trying to keep everybody happy. So yeah, it can be quite an overwhelming time, and even for those who absolutely love and adore Christmas, it can still be overwhelming. We can still have those overwhelming moments. So this is what I kind of want to focus on really for maybe the next couple of weeks. So today, I just want to go through a few things that we can be going on and doing at the beginning of December to try and avoid us getting to that point where we feel that overwhelmed. So here we go. And can I just say, I am doing this at like nearly 10 o'clock at night. I'm normally in bed at 8:30. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm still up. Yeah, I did want to get this done today. And actually, a lot of these things that I'm going to say today, they are not necessarily just for Christmas. Like these are really good tips to bring into our lives anyway. Okay, so as always, my first tip is going to be write a gratitude list. Like writing a gratitude list is my go-to thing to do when I am feeling anything negative. So that includes overwhelm. If we look close enough, there are always things to be grateful for. Even when we're feeling overwhelmed, even when we're feeling anxious and stressed, there's always something to be grateful for. So just spend 5 minutes finding like 3 things in your life right now to be grateful for. And you might often find the answer to your problems by writing a gratitude list. So, for example, if I'm feeling particularly overwhelmed with how much I've got to do, I'll write a gratitude list of all the things that I am grateful for that Craig does. And this often makes me see that, number one, he often does just as much as I do. Well, he does do just as much as I do, but his things that he does are completely different to the things that I do. Not only does it make me realise that he does just as much as I do, it makes me realise that there are things that I can get him to do as well. Like, just because I usually do that thing and he usually does that thing, whatever that might be, doesn't mean that I can't ask for his help or ask him to do an extra little thing for me that would help me out. Like the other night, one of the boys was at rugby training, and usually I will drop them off at rugby training. So this is George. I will normally drop George off at rugby training, go home, well, maybe sometimes do the shopping on the way home, go home, cook tea for everybody. Then by the time I've done that, George and Craig are walking through the door again, and it's just go, 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 go. Now, on Tuesday, I changed it up a little bit. So I just dropped George off at rugby, and Craig was on his way because he knows that I shoot off and do what I need to do. But for a change, I said to him, like, you've had an equally busy day in work. Do you want to go home and cook tea? And I don't know, this sounds like a really silly example, but it just, like, I don't normally ask him to make tea, you know, that's not one of the things that he tends to do. But because I'd been grateful for all the things that he does do, it made me think, do you know what, like, the last thing he wants to do is wait around. He probably wants to come home as well, like, even though it means making tea, like, he probably wants to come home as well. And actually, what it meant was that I could wait around for George whilst he was doing rugby training, and I actually got a few, like, worky bits done on my phone, which is one thing that Craig would normally do when he's waiting for George. So, I don't know, like I said, it sounds like a silly example to give, and I might not even leave that bit in, but like just being grateful for the things that make you overwhelmed, like looking for things within that you are grateful for. Like, I am so grateful for everything Craig does for us, and he is, I'm sure, equally grateful for everything that I do. But just by flipping it around and thinking how he might be feeling, I actually suggested something that worked out better for both of us on that particular day. Like, that might not be the case in the future, but there we go. I hope that's making sense. But either way, if it doesn't make sense, always write a gratitude list. Like, even if it doesn't help you solve your problems, it always makes you feel better. Like, focusing on what you are grateful for is always going to raise your vibration, even if it's just temporary. Okay, my next thing to do is write a list of all the things you need to do. Like, I like to call this a brain dump. This is all the things that are clogging up your brain. Because if we don't write them down, we've got all these things flitting around our brain. Like, even if you write a few things down, you've still got the rest of it going round and round and round. So if we only write a list for the things we have to do in work that day, like, we've got all of our other things, you know, our home things, our relationship things, our school things for the children. We've got all of that going through our heads. So write a list of everything that is clogging up your brain, that is taking part of your mental capacity. And just by writing it all down, like, once it's down on paper, you've got it out of your head. And then you can focus on the things out of that list that actually are a priority, because a lot of them won't be a priority. But just by having them floating around in your head, it makes it feel like you've got 1,000,001 things to do. When in theory, you've only got like 3 or 4 things that need to be done. The next thing is something that I don't tend to do, if I'm completely honest, but want to do, particularly this month. And that is to plan some time for self-care or for chill. Like, where even if I don't have the energy to do, or if I don't want to do self-care, like, just doing nothing. Block out, go through your, calendar at the beginning of the week and work out a couple of hours that you can spend doing nothing, whether that means putting a film on, whether that means going for a walk, whether that means just sitting down and watching crap on the telly. Like, make sure you schedule some time where you are not thinking about all these things you need to do, where you're not thinking about other people and what you need to do for them. Because if you're anything like me, if I've not got anything that I need to be doing, and I know a lot of people are like this, Craig does this, I can think of multiple people that do this, but then you will start getting on with things to do with work, things to do with your business, and actually you are not giving yourself time to switch off from that. Like, you don't have to do it all the time. And then following on from that, the next thing is to make sure you spend time in nature. So whether that is going out for a local walk, whether that is bunging the kids and the dogs in the car, or whatever you've got at home, whoever you've got, even if it's just yourself, getting in the car and going to a local nature reserve, or I don't know, something like that, like where you actually go somewhere for a walk. You might have somewhere on your doorstep, even if it's just walking up and down the road a few times. Like, when you look hard enough, there is always nature around us. And, like, I don't know, look out for different types of birds, or little clumps of mistletoe in the tree. Just try and make it an enjoyable, festive, like, appreciation of nature. The next thing is kind of linked to the brain dump, but don't try to multitask. Our brains are not designed for multitasking. Like, we can only focus on one thing at a time. So, like, when we think it's great to multitask, and it's when it's one of those things that we show off, like, oh yeah, women are great at multitasking, like, that is utter rubbish. That is putting way too much on ourselves. It can lead to procrastinating because, like I said, you physically cannot concentrate or focus 100% on one thing, on more than one thing at a time. You can only focus your energy and your mind on one thing at a time. So when you try and add multiple things into it, your brain isn't giving it 100%, and that is when it leads to procrastination. Like, you can't then decide what is your priority. And obviously, of course, that is going to lead to feeling overwhelmed. Again, make sure you go back to prioritizing what it actually is that needs doing at that moment in time. And if you haven't, this does segue nicely into talking about my journal, but if you haven't got my journal yet, then this is the one thing that I do love about my journal, is that, or this is the way I like to plan my day anyway, hence why I've made the journal. But writing, all those things, writing that brain dump, and then picking the top one or two things that need doing. Like, if you could only do one thing today, what is the most important thing that you need to prioritize? And then you can always work through. And another tip, actually, whilst I'm talking about it, is not to see all these things that you've written down, don't see them as a to-do list. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't get it all done. Your brain dump is, like I said, literally getting those things out of your brain onto paper. So it takes some of the pressure off of you. Don't see it as a to-do list, because then you will feel like you have to do everything, or that you failed if you don't do everything, because that is absolutely not the case. Like, those things that you haven't got done on that day simply carry over to another day, or you might realise that they're not actually important. But by putting them down on paper, you can just relieve yourself of that little bit of pressure that you put on yourselves, that we all put on ourselves. Okay, and the final thing I'm going to say today is take a nap when you need to. I do this amazing 20-minute nap. It sounds like I'm just doing a 20-minute nap, but I use this 20-minute nap on YouTube that is designed to refresh you. It's got like healing binaural beats that how can I explain it? Like, it's designed in a way to make you relax and then to bring you back into action again. So you don't want to carry on sleeping when you come to the end of it. And I find that this works for when I'm feeling overworked and overwhelmed, when I'm feeling like I've got a headache, and when I'm just feeling fucking knackered. It just re-energizes me, refocuses me, and I swear by it, to be honest with you. I don't do it every day, and actually I haven't done it all that much recently. I haven't really felt the need to, but thinking about how I've been feeling this week, maybe I do need to. So I will actually post the link to that in the show notes, because I find it really, really useful. I'm sure there are thousands of nap music or nap tracks on YouTube, on Spotify, on all the streaming devices. But I do love this one. So if you want to give it a go, then take a look in the show notes and give it a go and let me know how you get on with it. So that is where I'm going to leave it today, because I think that is enough to get ahead of yourself and make sure that, or to try and avoid getting to a place of overwhelm. And there are a couple more areas that I want to cover, but like I said, I might actually focus on this for a couple of weeks. Now, I'm just thinking, I am coming up to my 100th episode. So this is episode 97. Oh my God. If I was to do one every week this month, then my 100th episode would be on Christmas week. Now that would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? So what I'd like you to do is I would like my 100th episode to be dedicated to you. So if there are any questions that you want to ask me, anything that you would like me to look into or to go into more detail, then I'd love to hear from you. I would love this episode to be all about you. So please email me at lisa@lisadavidge.co.uk and let me know your question or let me know what you'd like me to talk about. And yeah, at the moment, if, like I said, if I do an episode every week this month, then that will be on Christmas week. So that would be quite cool. But I don't make any promises because, yeah, I don't want to commit to anything. anything. There we go. Right. Have an amazing week, everybody. Please, please do look after yourself and try not to let yourself get overwhelmed. And if you feel those feelings of overwhelm coming on, then go back, listen to this episode, and just do one or two things that I've talked about today, because December is an amazing month and it is so much fun and it is really special and we want to enjoy it as much as possible. Look after yourselves and I will speak to you next week. Bye.